Hello and welcome to the third of 4 educational mini-series provided by the Berks County Area Agency on Aging. My name is Barlet and I'm the Manager of Community Outreach and Education for the agency. Our third series is going to be focusing on getting healthy and staying healthy, and obviously focused on seniors. Today's segment of that series is focused on strong bones leading to good health. My guest today that's here with me is Janet Little, and she is a licensed dietitian nutritionist. So obviously the right person to talk to about getting healthy and hopefully staying healthy. The segment today, I think, Janet, you provide a good foundation for us by talking about starting with the structure of good bone health, and from there leading to how we can make sure that we've maintained that, and then eating healthy, which can help us then to stay healthy. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Janet, and if we can, obviously we'll start with the first slide that says about, the program is on strong bones, and tell me a little bit more about that and why you say that.
Yes, a lot of people feel that, oh, my bones grew by the time I was 20, so that's it. I can't change it any longer. But the fact is that your bones are a living tissue, just like your skin is, just like everything else. Your muscles, your fat stores, those are living tissues. And so what we want to prevent, actually, when we're older is osteoporosis. We don't want to have thinning of bones. We don't want to have bones that are anything but as good as we can make it, as solid as we can make it. In case, God forbid, we fall, we want to be able to knit those bones together and go on with our lives. It's what's very important. I think this is where it actually expands beyond the senior population. It's a geriatric disease, but it has pediatric beginnings. It's a pediatric disease, actually, that has geriatric consequences. So in your pediatric years, really, depending if you're a male or a female, that's when your bones really begin to grow. 9 or 13 years of age, that really ramps up. And that's when you want to eat as well as you can and be as active as you can.
And certainly we don't think about that at age 9 or 10, and in terms of what we might be like, look like, and have issues as we're older. So it certainly isn't a concept probably that we're thinking about.
No, not at all. And I think, too, when people do hear that, they go, oh, well, then that's over. But the truth is it is living tissue. And it's important to understand that here and now, whatever age you are, you can still eat as optimally as ever and be active as you can be, whatever you can do. So you keep giving your body the nutrients it needs to maintain those strong, keep them strong.
Okay. All righty. I don't know if we need to mention anything about the, I think it was a little, if we can show the next slide, I think that when you shared this with me a little earlier and saying that there's a silent health crisis, that over 45 million people have this, and we're looking at a picture here of of what a strong bone looks like and what a weak bone looks like, and that's pretty amazing.
It's hard to believe, and I think I've shown people this slide, and they haven't believed me. This is really true. And if you look at the strong bone, when I say strong bones, that is what we're talking about. It's as developed as it's going to get. That's what you want. And you want to hang on to what you got as long as you can.
And I think looking then, when you compare it to the weak bone,
right,
and then you think about what you mentioned earlier with the prevention of osteoporosis and hopefully a fall to repair the bone, look at how much we'd have to repair with the weak bone versus the strong bone is what I'm taking away from this slide.
Well, definitely, that's what you have to work with when it's repairing. So, you want to do the best you can to make it someplace in between.
And I think if we go to, if we can look at the next slide then right away too, then, I think the next thought that you had said with the bones and the repair of the bones is the bones will break easily.
Yes, they will.
And that's a slide of that. So, and I think you mentioned, so this would be a good, I think, time too, because of this slide too. You said, the prevention of osteoporosis. So can you share with us a little bit about that? What is osteoporosis?
Well, osteoporosis is where the bone begins to get thinner. It begins to progress toward that slide that you showed earlier, they call it osteopenia, where it becomes less and less, it becomes more and more lacy. The minerals begin to seep out of the bone, and the bone has less to work with as it seeks to replenish itself, to grow back. And so it just gets thinner and thinner, and then it reaches a certain point, a certain level where it is the porosis level. It's porous, and it will not develop as much, and it won't heal as well. How do you know? The reason it's silent is it doesn't call attention to itself until maybe you feel a little bit of pain or you fall. And this is why getting a DEXA scan, having your doctor order that diagnostic test every few years so you can compare and track your progression so you know what to do.
Okay.
Know where you're at.
So that's kind of like a precautionary and thinking ahead and looking. So I guess we want to go back, step back in time, maybe to our youth, in terms of when you said that it starts back then, and we really should have been focusing on the bone health. So I guess we need to look at the bones and how do they grow and how do we build them?
Well, a lot goes into an optimal bone. First of all, I do want to also say that not everybody's going to develop osteoporosis, by the way. Right now it's affecting 1 in 3 women and 1 in 8 men.
Okay.
Men, it hits them a little bit later because a lot of it's hormonal. When your female hormones begin to reduce after menopause. That's really when it also tends to accelerate.
Okay.
With men, it's a little bit later. So not everybody's affected, but that's still quite a few people. But going back
Well, and I can understand that then not everybody is affected, and also not as early or as the same as each other because of that bone development.
Absolutely.
Along the way, and what we've done along the way to bring it back up, maintain it, eating healthy. So I get that. So let's start back with bones and what do we need and how do we start off, I guess, good, you know?
Well, I think the thing to do is to understand where we get our calcium, what we need it for. To develop your bone, you do need calcium sources, and for your body to absorb the calcium, it also needs vitamin D and magnesium. It needs a vitamin and a mineral, vitamin D and magnesium. Now, most people will think calcium, a good food source is milk, but not necessarily the only source.
Oh, good.
You've told me.
I don't drink milk, so my problem has always been, and it's been since childhood, that I've not been a big fan of milk, and has continued. And wanting only very skim, you know, the lightest milk. So, so we do know milk is, but what are some other sources then?
Well, many actually, and I just want to, flip to this sheet I have here that has all that in it. There's, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just want to say, in addition to dairy or within that, there's also yogurt and cheese as well. These are milk-based products. But there's also a lot of your fruits and vegetables have them too, just naturally.
All right, and you know what? We don't think about that, do we?
Not at all.
I don't, anyhow. So I mean, I like fruits and vegetables, so I must be okay knowing the fruits and the vegetables and some other things mixed in.
Well, I think worldwide, not everybody takes dairy as we do, and many people can't digest it. They don't like it, like you're one of those people, but also they can't digest it. They're lactose intolerant. They can't break down the carbohydrate in the milk. So there are millions of people, maybe even billions in the world that cannot take or digest, absorb cow's milk. So they're all alternative milks too. There's also milks that you can be made from almonds and soy too. I think if you go to a health food store, the health food aisle of your supermarket, there are, the soy milks and almond milks, rice milks. What I would suggest though is you get those that are calcium fortified.
Okay. All
so
right.
there is
something
option
to that when you read that on the box. It's not just one extra little milligram or something. It's definitely a good fortification to choose that particular.
It definitely is. Milk is kind of their template or their what they're trying to mimic. So 8 ounces of milk has about 300 milligrams of calcium, and your calcium fortified milks often approach that. Another thing too is orange juice. Calcium fortified orange juice is a great source too. I think last I looked, a cup is like 300 milligrams as well. So just the fortified products just are very good sources.
So it does make a difference.
It does make a difference. There's calcium fortified or calcium set tofu. If you're into your Asian cuisine with tofu, that can be a source as well. Tempeh, soy nuts, edamame to an extent has calcium in it naturally, or how they set it anyway. And then legumes or beans, and this is like, your kidney beans, black beans. There's many cuisines that are based in that. Your down-home cooking is very often, your black-eyed peas and kidney beans. Chili con carne often has the kidney beans. Black beans are really popular too. Black bean soup, they're just full of calcium. It's not, very often when people look at the milk container, they go, wow, 300, 360, whatever it is, depending on the milk, how many milligrams of calcium. They'll go, oh, well, then if a food doesn't have as much as that, it's not good. No, it adds up. It adds up.
We put it all together,
we
right?
Put it all
so
together.
We can have a nice bean soup, and have our fortified, orange juice at breakfast in the morning, and something else along the way, maybe an ice cream snack.
You may.
How will that work?
It would work fine.
I can add that. Okay, good.
It would be fine. You have to think of those terms,
So we have a variety then of choices to kind of think about and learn about how we can incorporate the sources of calcium and make it different, make it a variety, and not always think that it's from one source, but we've got a couple that you mentioned, and I think that I want to go to the slide that we have up too, that also, as a reminder, one more time before we move on,